If you're going to level your lawn this season, you might as well take care of this first. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Budget Lawns. I appreciate you being here. This season, I know you got a lot of things on your plate, and there's one that you have just been putting off year after year after year, and that is the water control in your lawn. Your drainage just stinks, and you haven't done anything about it. Well, this year is the year to do it, and if you're planning a leveling project this season, with all the work that you're going to put into that, you might as well do the drainage first, because no doubt you're going to mess up the lawn taking care of those steps. Then you'll come back and level it, and you'll kill two birds with one stone. Now, if you remember from my old house, small neighborhood, small lots, drainage just was what it was. Not a lot I could do there. Now, it drained off to a certain extent, but I would end up with soggy spots all in the back lawn, standing water in places, and it just wasn't fun to deal with when you were ready to get out and mow, and then you would leave ruts all in the lawn. Well, here at the new house, I've got a pretty sweet little drainage system put in place, and I'm going to take you around the lawn today, and I'm going to show you several options that you have to tackle some of those trouble spots after it rains. That way the water is draining out of your yard, going where it's supposed to go, and not sticking around too long, messing up your lawn care plans. So let me take you through the yard and show you what I'm working with. So you can tell right off the bat that I am in the middle of a hill. The house sits up on a hill. I have quite the slope in the front yard, but I've got water that comes down my direction from uphill, and then I have water that goes from my house downhill into my neighbor's yard. So we knew from the very beginning when we started building this house that we were going to have some water control in place. So let's start in the backyard where everything begins. All right, let's just think about this. We had a pretty solid rain last night, and aside from this little part of the yard where it doesn't get as much sunshine this time of year, everything is pretty darn dried out, and that is just the result of all the water being collected and going where it's supposed to. So the first feature you're going to notice in this backyard, yeah, we have a retaining wall here, and I've already been asked in one of my videos, hey, do you have a French drain behind that retaining wall? And the answer is yes. There's a French drain that runs along the entire backside of this draining wall, or this retaining wall. It has to be there to help relieve pressure from behind that wall when water gets down into the soil. If it weren't there, guess what? This thing would eventually topple over. So what is a French drain? Essentially, it's a big trench that runs behind the retaining wall, filled with gravel, got a corrugated, perforated pipe in it that helps collect water and then moves it out around the sides of the retaining wall and into pipe underground to some pop-out emitters in the front yard, which I'll show you in just a second. But this is a block retaining wall, so after the rain last night, you can kind of see some of the water coming through the cracks and crevices, which is just fine because that's going to help alleviate more pressure and not rely so much on the French drainage system to take care of everything. But that is in place to take care of all that water that is coming down from the fence off the hill towards the house. Because our number one thing with all this is you have to keep the water away from the house. So the crew that put this in when the house was built, they did a really good job with the grade here. So you got to think about your grade. Where do you want the water to go? It all has to be sloping the right direction. This all slopes down here from my neighbor's house up on the high side towards the center, and we've got a little gully here. It comes off the house and goes straight down through the fence towards the street. So that's good there. Off the back side, coming down away from the house. Same thing on the patio, coming towards this center part of the lawn. And you'll see running down the middle of it, I have 3 catch basins here. All right, one there, one down there, and one right here. So these are collecting water when it rains real hard that's coming away from the house, off of the retaining wall, off of the patio here, and those are all connecting to corrugated solid pipes that run underground, one around this way. Actually, I think they're all three collecting and going downhill, connecting with the French drain pipe and heading straight out towards the pop-up emitters in the front yard. So with the French drain system, the 3 catch basins, and then you may have already noticed, I've got all my gutters tied into it too. So when it rains, the water back here is so controlled. Gutter going underground there, solid corrugated pipe to the pop-out emitter. Same thing on this other side of the house. All going underground from the gutter downspout to a pop-out emitter up in the front yard. So had none of this at the last house. I was getting water rushing from my neighbor's yards up the hill into my backyard. There was nothing to control the water coming out of the gutters. It was just going straight into the back lawn. That is not an issue here. And what's even nicer is my neighbors up the hill have similar systems to this. So I'm hardly getting anything coming out of their back lawns into my backyard. So that's a huge bonus when your neighbors have a similar system in place. So I've also got this gutter here connected to a corrugated pipe going underground to the pop-up emitter here. There's one pop-up emitter, and that one needs a little work. It's not functioning properly right now. I just haven't gotten to it. This little gutter here barely does anything. It's just that one little spot up on the roof there. One more gutter here. Not going underground on these 2 up front, but I'm going to put some rocks here to control that water coming out and send it over the driveway. Or may cover a little corrugated pipe there with some mulch or something. Haven't decided on that. But this other corner gutter on the front of the house also connected to a corrugated pipe underground to this pop-up emitter. So what do these pop-up emitters do? When you've got all that water being collected in your gutters coming from the French drain, the catch basins in the backyard, it builds up in the corrugated pipes underground, and eventually the pressure in the pipe pops this centerpiece up just like that, and you'll start noticing water spilling out of this, running down the hill to the street and not pooling up in your yard. So those are super awesome to have. This is my first time with them. I know there's probably going to be a little maintenance popping these off, cleaning them out from time to time, but it's just nice to know that all my water from that backyard, even with the slope of it coming towards the house, is being collected, not interfering with the brick of the house, and it's working its way underground for the most part out to the street, not leaving me any soggy, nasty, waterlogged spots after a lot of rain. We've had a lot of rain over the past few days, and guess what? My yard for the most part is pretty much dry, where at the old house, if it rained like it has over the past few days, I would be soaked, especially this time of year for the next week or so. Not the case here. We have a lot of work to do, but I am pretty excited that from the get-go, my water will be controlled. Now I can come in this summer and it will be a slow and steady process of leveling this thing and smoothing it out, but I don't have to worry about water flow from this point forward. So I would encourage you, if that has been a problem for you, think about getting it fixed this year, especially if you're going to do a leveling project. All right, my friends, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Budget Lawns. I hope you found something helpful out of that, maybe some doable things that you might be able to tackle yourself this season, or just get someone else to do it. If you like this video, leave me a thumbs up and comment down below. I like to hear from you and get to know some of you folks, and I will see you next time.